Our boy Vice started with a simple dream of becoming the absolute strongest, which meant swinging his sword against wooden dummies until his arms practically fell off, before graduating to slicing actual one-eyed demons that wanted to eat him alive, unleashing massive energy slashes that easily tore through any monster foolish enough to challenge him. Eventually, his relentless grind paid off, turning him into the world's most formidable swordsman. But a sudden chill in the air instantly puts him on high alert, scanning the dark mountain range as he prepares to draw his massive blade, crouching low to the ground before launching himself forward with terrifying speed, triggering a massive explosion of blue light that completely obliterates the surrounding landscape. Meanwhile, the clueless guards wonder where Vice ran off to, completely unaware of the danger. Streaking across the night sky, Vice leaves the clueless guards wondering how a magicless guy is even flying. Meanwhile, a pack of vicious dragon monsters looks down hungrily at a completely unsuspecting village below. Leading this monstrous raid is the demon girl, casually lounging on a giant stone golem's shoulder. She cackles with pure delight, already claiming the entire village as her personal playground for destruction. Her beastly minions roar in agreement, eager to unleash absolute devastation and pillage upon the innocent humans. Wearing a sadistic grin, she promises to carve the terror of the demon race into their souls. Suddenly, a massive shockwave rattles the earth as Vice lands right in front of her giant golem. Looking completely unfazed by her massive army, our boy stares her down with absolute icy calm. This demon girl instantly loses her cool, screeching in disbelief at the sight of her worst nightmare. But Vice simply tells her to turn back, having absolutely zero interest in fighting a pointless battle. Demon girl gets offended by Vice's casual attitude, claiming she just wanted to bully some weak humans, before reminding him with a creepy glare that humans are nothing but toys to her kind, unleashing her pack of vicious lizard monsters to tear our boy to absolute shreds. But Vice casually swings his massive blade, instantly slicing them into neat little pieces. Unimpressed by his quick work, the demon girl simply scoffs and decides to raise the stakes, activating a glowing red magic circle to summon her absolute favorite heavy hitter, a colossal stone golem that towers over Vice, radiating pure heat and destructive power, while she frantically screams at her new pet to turn him into a pile of meat. Instead of panicking, Vice calmly analyzes the situation, knowing these dirt monsters regenerate unless he hits the core. So he channels massive blue energy into his fist, aiming for that one single weak spot. Vice unleashes a massive blue energy punch, completely shattering the giant stone golem's core in one shot, leaving the demon girl completely speechless as her jaw drops in absolute sweaty disbelief. She throws a massive tantrum, screaming that our boy is totally cheating with his ridiculous strength. But Vice calmly explains that his physical reinforcement magics is simply the ultimate result of his training, which only makes her blush furiously, accusing him of being a stalker who is secretly into her, only for Vice to brutally reject her by stating he prefers modest and reserved women. As the two continue bickering, a mysterious cloaked stranger quietly watches them from the shadows, revealing a blonde-haired girl with a sinister smile who raises her hand to cast a spell, channeling a glowing purple magic circle directly toward our clueless duo in the distance, as a massive teleportation circle suddenly activates right beneath Vice's heavy armored boots. Vice realizes too late that they've stepped into a trap, while the demon girl looks equally clueless, before our boy can even react to the sudden magical surge vibrating beneath his feet. A massive pillar of light erupts from the ground and swallows them both whole, leaving the mysterious hooded girl to quietly admire her handiwork from the shadows. And as the night passes quietly over the silent mountain range, the spell finally runs its course. This demon girl slowly opens her eyes, completely disoriented by her new surroundings, finding herself tucked under a warm blanket right next to a crackling campfire, only for Vice to casually stroll up with firewood, asking if she is finally awake, accompanied by her now shrunken monster minions who seem to have completely switched sides, sending her into a blushing panic as she realizes her clothes are completely ruined. Vice explains that a high-level teleportation spell must have hit them, landing them in this random spot, before casually mentioning he stripped her to check for injuries, which is totally a normal medical procedure. And as she freezes in shock, our boy leans in closer to offer an even more thorough checkup, prompting the terrified demon girl to scream at the top of her lungs and swat him away, unleashing a flurry of useless punches while Vice calmly explains he has zero interest in her body. Realizing they have bigger problems, he suggests a temporary truce to assess their bizarre new environment, leaving the flustered demon girl clutching her blanket as she tries to process his sudden serious tone. She slowly turns around to see what has our usually unshakable swordsman looking so tense, only to find a completely ruined modern metropolis stretching out beneath three glowing crescent moons, sending a chill down her spine as she realizes they are definitely not in their own world anymore. Staring up at the sky, the demon girl screams in absolute panic at the multiple moons. Even her shrunken monster minions look completely lost as they try to process their bizarre new reality, prompting Vice to calmly ask if she has finally cooled her head while they huddle by the campfire. Clutching her knees, she quietly asks what is going to happen to them now, only for Vice to bluntly admit that he has absolutely no idea what comes next, which prompts her to ask if they can ever return to their original world. And once again, our boy delivers the exact same brutally honest response. She snaps at him for being so incredibly boring, but Vice refuses to pretend he has answers, though she quickly makes it clear that she has zero intention of just sitting around doing nothing. Vice agrees, declaring he will find a way back home and needs her cooperation to survive. Vice looks her dead in the eye and promises to protect her until they find a way back, leaving the demon girl completely stunned by his sudden, uncharacteristic display of genuine chivalry, though she immediately hides her blushing face and screams at him for pulling such annoying smooth moves. Their bickering is cut short when a sudden rustling in the nearby bushes puts them both on high alert, prompting Vice to spin around as a pair of glowing eyes pierces through the dark forest, revealing a grotesque, wide-mouthed magical beast that leaps out of the shadows to devour them whole. Surprisingly, the demon girl steps in front of Vice, boldly declaring that she will protect him this time. But she quickly realizes her depleted magic reserves won't let her summon her favorite giant stone golem, forcing her to settle for her next best option as she summons her loyal wolf beast instead, which immediately charges her to trade heavy blows with the terrifying monster in a brutal clash. Demon Girl reaches out her hand to summon her beast, but absolutely nothing happens, leaving her completely paralyzed with shock as she realizes her magic is totally unresponsive, while the terrifying vertical-mouthed monster lunges straight at them with bloodthirsty speed. Terrified and completely defenseless, the demon girl freezes on the ground as the beast closes in, but Vice leaps directly into the line of fire, shielding her from the devastating blow, which triggers a massive shockwave that shatters the stone ground and sends debris flying everywhere. When the dust finally settles, our boy lies slumped against the rubble, heavily bruised and bleeding, prompting the panicked demon girl to rush over while he stubbornly claims his training saved him, though he secretly grits his teeth, realizing his physical reinforcement magic has also completely failed. And with no magic left, she desperately tries to summon anything as the monster closes in. Panicking as everything goes sideways, the demon girl screams in absolute confusion at their hopeless situation. She desperately presses her hands against Vice's chest, channeling her remaining mana into a glowing red magic circle, but she freezes in shock when a bizarre purple energy suddenly begins crackling around them, manifesting a massive dark wolf beast with glowing red eyes right behind her trembling shoulders. Staring up in sheer disbelief, she stammers out Vice's name as a wild realization hits her, while the newly transformed beast unleashes a deafening roar that echoes through the ruined city, charging straight toward the giant vertical-mouthed monster without a single shred of fear, locking its glowing red eyes onto its prey with pure, unadulterated killer instinct, before unleashing a devastating red claw slash that tears through the air with terrifying force, leaving the demon girl completely stunned as she recognizes her intended summon in this bizarre new shape. Demon girl stands frozen in shock, completely baffled as to why her summoning spell fused with Vice, while a massive clawed werewolf leg stomps heavily onto the shattered concrete below, revealing the transformed Vice standing triumphantly over their defeated attacker under the three crescent moons. She cautiously steps closer to the giant beast, quietly calling out his name with pure dread, but the feral warrior only responds with a low growl and a blood-red glare, sending a massive jolt of panic through her as she realizes he might be completely feral, especially since he now towers over her like a terrifying mountain of pure muscle. She frantically blames herself for this magical disaster, desperately trying to figure out a quick fix, only for the giant wolf beast to unleash another deafening roar right in her face, prompting her to scream in absolute terror as her accidental savior turns into her biggest nightmare. Realizing she needs to stop this feral beast, Demon Girl winds up and delivers a massive kick, aiming her boot directly at the absolute worst spot imaginable for any male creature, which instantly sends a wave of pure, unadulterated agony straight to the werewolf's brain, forcing Vice's literal soul to escape his mouth as he flies backward in complete defeat. Crashing heavily onto the shattered concrete, the giant wolf beast is completely knocked out cold, while Demon Girl wipes her brow, sighing in relief that her desperate plan actually worked. But her relief turns to sudden shock as a strange magical glow surrounds his body. Turns out, that devastating low blow was just what he needed to revert to human form, leaving our boy lying peacefully under the three crescent moons while they slowly regroup, though Vice quickly wakes up complaining about a very specific soreness, leaving her sweating in silence. Vice asks if she possessed such advanced magic to fuse them together in the first place. But the flustered demon girl snaps back, insisting she has absolutely no idea how it happened, explaining that their arrival in this bizarre world has completely warped her usual summoning abilities, which perfectly aligns with Vice's realization that his own physical reinforcement magic is totally offline. Staring into the dark, our boy realizes they are in deep trouble without their usual powers, yet he quickly points out that this accidental fusion might actually be their ticket to survival, proposing a wild plan to let her transform him into a werewolf whenever danger strikes. Asking her to combine their strength to find a way home leaves the demon girl completely speechless, though she quickly recovers her pride, laughing haughtily while calling him a pitiful, helpless human, before proudly declaring that she simply cannot refuse someone who relies so heavily on her greatness. A sudden rustling in the bushes scares the absolute daylights out of the demon girl, but it is just her shrunken monster minions returning from a quick scouting mission. Vice is thrilled they found water, leaving the demon girl highly annoyed by their sudden bromance. They arrive at a gorgeous crystal-clear lake that looks like an absolute paradise amidst the ruins, prompting the demon girl to immediately dive in for a highly refreshing, clothing-free bath, while our shirtless hero stands on the shore, plotting out their survival and fishing strategy, knowing this cozy setup is just a temporary distraction from finding a way back home. But his deep thoughts are instantly shattered by a blood-curdling scream echoing across the water, as a colossal three-eyed sea serpent erupts from the depths to crash her peaceful bath time, leaving the terrified girl splashing frantically while screaming at Vice to save her from becoming fish food. Staring down the colossal sea serpent, Vice instantly realizes his regular human strength won't cut it, prompting our shirtless hero to scream at the demon girl to activate their beast fusion immediately. But she hesitates in pure panic, terrified he might lose control and go feral again. Vice barks back that his sheer willpower will keep him sane, demanding she hurry up, which finally gets through to her as she locks in with a fierce, determined glare. Channeling her remaining mana, she summons her sea serpent beast through a glowing red magic circle, triggering a dark crimson energy that wraps around Vice's body as the fusion process begins, morphing his human hands into terrifying clawed web talons crackling with raw magical power, while a sharp dorsal fin erupts from his back amidst the swirling purple shadows, revealing Vice fully transformed into a badass blue-scaled sea warrior ready to tear his foe apart. Standing tall in his new aquatic form, Vice radiates a massive surge of raw magical energy. He lets out a low, guttural growl as the feral instincts of the beast threaten to take over, leaving the naked demon girl shivering in the water as she desperately calls out his name, terrified that her accidental savior has completely lost his mind to the beast once again. Meanwhile, the colossal three-eyed sea serpent looms directly behind her, ready to snap its massive jaws, prompting her to scream in absolute frustration at her completely unresponsive and feral partner. But before the monster can strike, the transformed Vice leaps in and grabs its massive snout, shocking the demon girl as she realizes he actually managed to retain his human consciousness, while our boy fiercely declares that he refuses to lose before they find a way home, before using his raw aquatic strength to wrestle the giant sea monster back into the depths. Locking his glowing red eyes onto the target, Vice prepares to unleash his newly acquired aquatic power, and with a massive roar, he unleashes a devastating water shockwave that blasts the monster backward, before leaping directly onto the serpent's snout to keep the pressure on the giant beast. Watching from the sidelines, the naked demon girl frantically cheers him on, demanding he use his entire body, which is exactly what our boy does as he winds up a high-speed aquatic kick, channeling the raw power of the sea into a devastating punch that cuts through the water. His glowing red eyes lock in as he prepares to deliver the final crushing blow, gathering a massive surge of dark energy directly into his clawed hand to end this fight. He aims straight for the colossal monster's open mouth as it tries to swallow him whole, delivering a massive downward slash that splits the water and sends the beast sinking to the depths. Standing victoriously atop the defeated sea monster, Vice lets out a breath as blood sprays everywhere, prompting the demon girl to cheer for their survival before immediately complaining about how gross it is. But her celebration is cut short when Vice groans as the feral beast instincts take over, sending him right back into a mindless, purple energy-fueled berserk rage that echoes across the lake. And as the terrifying aquatic beastman lunges straight at her with claws outstretched, she panics, quickly realizing she has no choice but to recycle her previous highly effective defense strategy. She winds up and delivers a devastating glowing anti-air fist directly to his most vulnerable spot, leaving the forest in peaceful silence while our hero undergoes a very painful force detransformation. Waking up face down, Vice complains about a sharp groin pain which she dismisses as a mere side effect, before proudly showing off her stylish new outfit that her loyal golems managed to scavenge nearby. Demon Girl tells Vice to rest while she takes her minions to scout the dangerous area. But as our boy weakly offers his thanks, a sudden jolt of panic stops him cold, revealing his hand is still covered in terrifying dark scales and sharp beastly claws, leaving Vice to dread that this monstrous transformation might actually be permanent this time. Fortunately, the dark energy fades away and his hand instantly snaps back to normal, allowing our exhausted hero to finally breathe a massive sigh of relief in the quiet forest. Suddenly, Demon Girl comes rushing back with her minions, screaming at him to wake up immediately, her eyes wide with absolute shock as she points toward a nearby clearing, where Marcia lies completely unconscious on the dirt next to a shattered wooden wagon, prompting the frantic Demon Girl to call Vice over to inspect their unexpected new guest. Staring down at the wreckage, Vice and the Demon Girl inspect the unconscious Marcia lying in the dirt. Checking her pulse, Vice confirms she is still breathing but insists they find a doctor immediately. Demon Girl suggests repairing the wrecked wagon to transport her, prompting Vice to look back in surprise, since a wagon means there must be a road nearby leading straight to a civilized town. And luckily, Vice has basic maintenance skills while her loyal monster minions are ready to help. leaving the demon girl to babysit their unconscious guest while the boys handle the heavy lifting. She watches them work in silence, her usual arrogant attitude temporarily replaced by quiet contemplation, until Vice flashes a ridiculously sparkling smile, vowing to never give up until they return home, which instantly makes her blush, completely exasperated by how incredibly cheesy his heroic speeches can be, while our clueless hero continues rebuilding the wooden carriage alongside her bizarre summon squad. Vice treats the heavy wagon repair as a perfect opportunity to get a quick muscle workout, while the bright morning sun shines down on their newly assembled transport crew. Soon, her summoned stone golem and shadow beast are pulling the carriage down the forest path, with their mysterious blonde guest resting quietly in the back as they travel. But the bumpy ride instantly triggers a nasty case of motion sickness for the demon girl, who desperately dreams of cozy beds and hot meals once they finally reach a proper town. Vice remains completely silent, deeply troubled by the fact that they still have no way home, knowing he must regain his full combat strength before they encounter any more powerful beasts. Suddenly, their unconscious passenger sits up and catches both of them completely off guard, as Marcia politely offers to guide them straight to town in exchange for saving her life. This stone golem and shadow beast slowly pull the wooden wagon along the winding dirt path, where Marcia politely introduces herself and expresses her deepest gratitude for saving her life, prompting the smug demon girl to introduce herself as Dance and call Vice a giant gorilla. But Vice quickly whispers a warning that giving away real names in this world is dangerous, leaving the flustered girl to awkwardly backtrack while their wagon continues rolling down the road. Getting back to business, Vice asks if she can guide them directly to the nearest city, and Marcia points toward a mountain road leading straight to a town called Taguna, explaining she was headed there herself before a massive lake monster suddenly ambushed her cart, which prompts Vice to casually summon the giant dead sea serpent from his storage magic circle, instantly crushing the terrified girls under its massive weight as they scream at him to put it back. As the stone golem pulls their wagon down the road, a sudden magical barrier blocks their path, leaving a silver-haired knight and her companion to watch the bizarre caravan approach with deep suspicion, prompting the knight to shout a loud command to halt, catching Vice completely off guard. And before they can react, the mounted guards completely block their path forward, with the silver-haired knight demanding to know what kind of monster is pulling their carriage. Thinking fast, Marcia steps up to explain they are just innocent merchants recently ambushed by beasts, desperately trying to convince the suspicious guards that her new companions are completely harmless. But the knight isn't buying it, pointing directly at the giant stone golem standing right there, which forces the demon girl to quickly chime in and claim these monsters are actually her familiars, proudly declaring herself a master tamer to cover up her chaotic summoning magic. This silver-haired knight processes the beast tamer claim, her cold eyes filled with deep skepticism, and without missing a beat, she coldly declares that the demon girl is under arrest. This completely blindsides our horned heroine, whose face instantly contorts into a hilarious expression of pure shock, since the suspicious knight believes she might actually be the mastermind behind the recent local monster attacks. Before any handcuffs can come out, a panicked scout rides up to report a fresh monster ambush, forcing the silver-haired knight to pivot her attention away to deal with the immediate threat. She commands her squad to charge, while telling our heroes to evacuate to safety immediately. Once the guards ride off, Vice suggests they actually go help them fight instead of running away, baffling the demon girl, though Vice points out it is the perfect way to earn their trust. And besides, our boy has a few broken magical abilities he is dying to test out. Demon girl can only watch in utter confusion as Vice suggests jumping straight into danger. While down the road, the silver-haired knight and her squad face a massive dust cloud, revealing a terrifying pack of multi-eyed white ogres charging straight toward their defensive line. Undeterred by the overwhelming odds, the silver-haired knight draws her blade to rally her men, raising her sword high as she unleashes a fierce battle cry to initiate the assault, leading her small cavalry unit in a desperate head-on charge against the oncoming beasts. Her blade cuts clean through the first monster, sending a satisfying spray of dark blood, but despite her impressive combat skills, the sheer number of enemies quickly turns the tide, as one of her knights gets brutally ambushed and bitten by a feral beast, leaving another terrified soldier screaming for help as a massive jaw prepares to swallow him whole. Silver-haired knight struggles in the chaotic battle, realizing these beasts are far stronger than anticipated, and before she can recover, a massive multi-eyed ogre sneaks up directly behind her, leaving her completely defenseless as the monster prepares to bite her head off. But Vice suddenly leaps in and delivers a brutal punch straight to the beast's jaw, shattering its teeth in a spectacular spray of blood while the shocked knight stares, landing smoothly on the ground as he casually offers to provide some much-needed backup. This silver-haired knight immediately calls him ridiculous, pointing out he doesn't even have a weapon, prompting our boy to smile as he confidently claims he is already fully armed, before stepping right up to a massive drooling ogre that towers over him, channeling the raw monster energy coursing through his veins to turn his bare fists into deadly blades. Vice channels his broken magic, summoning a glowing pink circle around his raised fist, and a blinding burst of energy erupts, leaving the silver-haired knight completely stunned on her horse. When the light fades, our boy sports a badass, dragon-scaled gauntlet crackling with dark energy, which leaves the skeptical knight completely speechless as she tries to process what she is seeing. Without wasting a second, Vice unleashes a devastating shockwave that tears through the battlefield, sending the surrounding soldiers into a panic as they witness him casually vaporize a giant ogre. Grinning at his successful test run, our hero rallies the troops to press the attack, charging straight back into the fray with his lightning-charged fist raised high, delivering a massive downward strike that splits the very earth beneath them, leaving the stunned knights to watch in absolute awe as he single-handedly dominates the entire horde. Seeing their opening, the silver-haired knight rallies her panicked squad to regroup and recover, pointing her sword forward as she commands them to wipe out the remaining beasts, and the remaining cavalry charges head-on toward the final towering monster blocking their path, only for a massive blue energy-infused punch to completely obliterate the beast in a single strike, leaving Vice standing victoriously atop the giant monster's corpse with his dragon-scaled gauntlet still smoking. Approaching our hero, the silver-haired knight offers a sincere apology and thanks him for saving them, though she quickly hesitates, deciding it would be rude to pry into his monstrous arm's secrets, so she politely changes the subject and asks for the mysterious warrior's name instead. Flashy gauntlet still dripping with blood, Vice gives her a casual smile and introduces himself, which earns him a warm, respectful smile as she repeats his name with newfound admiration. Shaking hands with the silver-haired knight, Vice accepts her promise of a drink during their next encounter, but she politely requests that he finally deactivate his terrifying dragon-scaled arm before they head out. Meanwhile, the battlefield lies completely silent with the terrifying demonic beasts finally wiped out for good, prompting Marcia and the demon girl to walk through the carnage while marveling at his ridiculous power. As Marcia notes that even a single monster here could easily wipe out an entire knight order, this leaves the sweating demon girl to awkwardly agree, secretly finding Vice's creepy new power-up incredibly unsettling. Suddenly, she spots the massive corpse of the giant multi-eyed beast and gasps in absolute shock, excitedly pointing out the colossal monster while Marcia warns her that touching it is probably a terrible idea. Ignoring the warning, the curious demon girl points her finger as a strange pink glow suddenly erupts, leaving both girls to watch in awe as her altered summoning magic reacts with the giant corpse. A holographic screen pops up, confirming the giant multi-eyed ogre is now bound as her familiar, leaving the demon girl staring in absolute shock at the glowing blue crystal dropped on the grass, while Marcia panics in the background as they realize the sheer absurdity of their situation. Her bewildered scream echoes across the vast mountain valley, shattering the peaceful morning silence. Eventually, our group finally arrives at a cozy local establishment called Hushute, where a cheerful waitress welcomes them with massive mugs of beer and a giant roasted feast. Demon Girl happily chugs her drink, declaring that the cold alcohol is bringing her back to life, as they all gather around the table to enjoy the town's famous mountain veggie cuisine together. Still, Vice can't help but feel a bit guilty about Marcia paying for all their rooms, but she warmly insists it is the least she can do for her heroic savior. Demon Girl shifts the conversation to their empty pockets, wondering how they are going to pay for anything, as she pulls out the glowing blue ogre crystal and asks if they can sell it for cash. But Marcia examines the mysterious stone, admitting she has no idea what kind of price it would fetch. Still, she can't help but recall Vice's terrifying strength and Demon Girl's bizarre, beast-taming magic, quietly noting to herself that this ridiculous power is exactly like the legendary Demon Lord's army. Hearing this, Vice immediately questions her about the Demon Lord, prompting a panicked Marcia to quickly backtrack, leaving our boy highly suspicious while the oblivious Demon Girl happily orders another round of drinks. Under the eerie glow of the 3 crescent moons, the night passes peacefully over the quiet town. Back in their room, Demon Girl faceplants onto the mattress, absolutely thrilled to have a full stomach, rolling around on the fluffy sheets while Marcia smiles, glad they can finally enjoy some proper civilization. Marcia sits beside the bed, politely asking the resting Demon Girl if sharing a room is truly alright, before flashing a mischievous smile and asking if she and Vice are actually a romantic couple, which completely blindsides the horned heroine, sending her face into a bright red, screaming panic. As Marcia happily gushes about romance novels while the flustered girl realizes her companion is totally boy crazy. Desperate to escape the embarrassment, Demon Girl loudly demands they change the subject to something actually interesting, prompting Marcia to pause and search her mind for a worthy piece of local gossip, until she drops a massive bombshell, revealing that this entire world actually exists deep underground. This shocking revelation leaves Vice completely stunned, his mind racing to comprehend this bizarre subterranean reality. Crossing his arms by the window, he demands to know how such a place even functions, leaving Demon Girl to solemnly explain that random things from the surface simply fall down here. Under the 3 crescent moons, Marcia explains that people who fall into this subterranean world are called fallen ones, prompting Vice to wonder if they also qualify as fallen ones in this bizarre new reality. While the Demon Girl rests on the bed, explaining how the physical laws here are completely distorted, she suddenly sits up to reveal that Marcia has actually met another fallen one in the past, proudly boasting about her incredible intel-gathering skills as a potential ticket back to their own world. Vice offers a genuine smile, admitting that this is actually some incredibly solid progress for once. which immediately sends the horned heroine's ego into overdrive as she demands his absolute admiration, looking up at him with sparkling eyes while begging for even more praise, leaving our overpowered protagonist completely flustered by her sudden, adorable burst of pure childish energy, as her eyes literally glow with sparkles, waiting for him to shower her with compliments. Under the double crescent moons, the peaceful night at the inn is suddenly interrupted by some loud bickering, while the quiet courtyard outside remains completely still under the cool, starry night sky. Inside, the demon girl and Marcia are both fast asleep, completely oblivious to any danger. Vice is also knocked out cold in his own room, enjoying some well-deserved rest, but his sharp warrior instincts suddenly kick in, forcing his eyes to snap wide open, right as a colossal blue toad monster crashes down from the sky just outside the gates, revealing a massive, spiky beast with glowing red eyes that threatens to destroy the entire town. Instantly, the local guards spring into action, shouting orders to evacuate the sleeping hotel guests, while the silver-haired knight stands ready at the front lines as her squad quickly reports in, determined to stop this giant amphibian menace before it can lay waste to the peaceful settlement. This archers draw their bows on command, ready to rain down a deadly volley of arrows, sending a massive storm of sharp projectiles straight toward the giant blue toad's back. But the arrows simply bounce off its thick, scaly hide without leaving a single scratch, leaving the massive amphibian completely unfazed as it stares back with glowing red eyes. This shocking lack of damage leaves the silver-haired knight sweating in absolute disbelief, right before the colossal beast opens its massive maw to prepare a devastating counterattack, whipping its giant pink tongue forward with the speed and force of a cannonball, which absolutely obliterates the defensive line and sends the helpless soldiers flying through the air. Seeing the devastating attack sweep toward their leader, a panicked soldier screams out in terror, forcing the silver-haired knight to brace herself as the deadly pink whip closes in. A blinding flash of blue energy erupts across the courtyard, shattering the tense silence, and Vice suddenly leaps in to block the devastating strike, leaving the silver-haired knight completely stunned. As our boy lets out a fierce battle cry, channeling every ounce of his broken magic, he launches himself high into the air, aiming a heavy gauntlet-charged fist straight at the giant amphibian, but the impact merely rattles the beast's thick hide, failing to leave even a single scratch, forcing Vice to realize his standard physical strikes are completely useless against this ridiculous defense. Sliding backward across the dirt, he desperately searches for a weakness while the monster looms over him, until his eyes lock onto the hotel's decorative water fountain, sparking a brilliant, desperate idea. Drawing upon the nearby water source, he channels a massive, swirling torrent directly into his arm, unleashing the legendary sea serpent's power fused deep within his body to turn the tide of battle. Vice channels the water into his gauntlet, hoping his broken magic can handle the sudden elemental strain. Swirling torrents compress into a highly pressurized sphere, crackling with intense energy right before his eyes. With a confident smirk, our boy aims his glowing fist directly at the massive amphibian menace, unleashing a devastating high-pressure water beam that pierces straight through the giant beast's impenetrable hide. This ridiculous display of power leaves the silver-haired knight completely speechless as she watches the monster collapse, while Vice casually lowers his arm, looking like he just finished a light morning workout. Suddenly, the demon girl runs over to apologize for oversleeping, only for him to brush it off. She stares in disgust at the giant defeated amphibian, wondering how a simple frog grew so massive, before deciding to test her weird summoning magic by poking the giant creature's slimy skin, only for a blinding pink light to erupt, leaving her screaming in absolute panic once again. A holographic notification pops up, confirming that the giant blue toad has officially been tamed, leaving the local onlookers to whisper in absolute shock about the demon girl's bizarre powers, while Vice stands guard as his tiny companion awkwardly hides behind his back. Looking up at the three crescent moons, our boy suddenly senses an eerie gaze watching him, right as a mysterious blue light envelops them, while a voice whispers from the heavens, revealing a massive, four-winged blonde goddess looking down at the tiny humans from above, who smiles with amusement, wondering how much entertainment this new fallen one will provide. Meanwhile, high above the valley, another powerful entity gazes down at the quiet town below. As the horned demon lord Tatenda floats silently between the glowing crescent moons, her cold, piercing eyes locked onto our heroes as she prepares to make her move. Standing in a quiet forest clearing, Vice reflects on his powers while Demon Girl rests with her beasts, closing his eyes to focus his mind on the strange energy flowing through his veins, before his eyes snap open as dark, crackling energy suddenly surges around him, instantly manifesting his terrifying dragon-scaled gauntlet with a surge of raw power. He realizes he can now transform specific body parts at will in this distorted world, though a complete full-body transformation is still out of reach without her magical assistance, leaving the horned heroine completely intrigued, her yellow eyes wide with curiosity, as she wonders if the subterranean physical laws are responsible for his sudden power-up. Determined not to be outdone, the competitive demon girl declares she wants to do something awesome too, pulling out the glowing blue crystal to see what kind of magical trouble she can stir up. Demon girl confidently holds up the glowing blue crystal, boasting to Vice that she can summon a loyal monster, before winding up and chucking it forward like a bootleg pocket monster trainer, only for the crystal to bounce uselessly across the dirt while Vice watches in absolute silence, leaving the dude to stare at the inert stone in an incredibly awkward moment of quiet contemplation. illumination, until a blinding pink light suddenly erupts from the crystal, catching them completely off guard, as the massive white-furred ogre actually materializes from the glare, towering over our stunned heroes. Staring up in absolute disbelief, the horned heroine realizes her ridiculous gamble actually paid off, while Vice quickly processes the terrifying tactical advantage of pocketing an entire army of monsters, prompting the flustered girl to slowly turn toward him as the realization finally sinks in. She excitedly asks if this makes her an absolute genius, only for Vice to immediately shut her down. This next morning, sunlight washes over the peaceful tavern as a new day begins, with Marcia sitting at the dining table and wearing a highly suspicious smug grin, which immediately annoys the demon girl as she tries to enjoy her breakfast in peace. Marcia playfully teases her about having a secret romantic rendezvous at the crack of dawn, fantasizing about a dramatic forest romance while the horned heroine aggressively denies the whole thing. Suddenly, a familiar voice interrupts their bickering, noting how lively they are this morning, revealing Vice standing alongside the silver-haired knight as they approach the dining table. This warrior politely introduces herself as Helkia, the captain of the local knight order, prompting Marcia to curiously ask what business brings the captain to their table so early. Helkia explains that the local church priest wants to personally thank them for saving the town. Accepting the invitation, Vice, Demon Girl, and Marcia make their way toward the local church. This horned heroine excitedly fantasizes about massive rewards, but Vice quickly dampens her high expectations. She pouts, insisting her summoned monster companions deserve to share in whatever prize they receive, especially since those loyal beasts previously saved Marcia from a dangerous goblin ambush in the woods. Suddenly, the demon girl gasps in pure panic as she realizes she forgot to feed her pets, leaving Vice and Marcia to head to the church alone while she rushes back to the forest. Deep in the quiet woods, the stone golem and the small dragon rest peacefully together, but the giant stone guardian suddenly senses a strange presence hiding in the nearby trees. Right before a stray arrow pierces straight through its head, sending the little dragon into a panic, two mysterious assailants step forward with drawn weapons, disappointed that their sneak attack failed to destroy the golem. This cloaked assailants surround the area, drawing their weapons to finish off the summoned beasts, leaving the injured stone golem and the tiny dragon sweating in absolute terror as they corner them. As the attackers raise their curved daggers, ready to slice the helpless creatures to pieces. But just as the deadly blades are about to strike the trembling pets, Vice suddenly materializes right behind the lead assailant, his shadow looming with terrifying intent, demanding to know what they think they are doing to his companion's loyal friends. Before the attacker can even react, our boy grabs his wrist in a crushing grip and effortlessly slams the cloaked warrior face first into the dirt with overwhelming physical force. Furious, the remaining assailants immediately draw their weapons and surround him from all sides, yet Vice calmly shields the beasts, demanding to know who these mysterious attackers actually are. One of the cloaked assailants steps forward, pointing his curved blade directly at our hero, a sinister grin spreading across his hidden face as he prepares to strike. While the chaotic bond between the summoner and the swordsman faces its first real test. Standing tall, Vice shields the trembling stone golem and the tiny dragon from the attackers, demanding to know what business they have trying to hurt his companion's loyal pets. Instead of attacking, the cloaked squad stands firm and addresses our boy by his actual name, declaring that any filthy demon beast is a plague that must be purged from this world, which instantly catches Vice off guard as he wonders how these strangers know who he is, only for the lead attacker to reveal they have been secretly tracking his every move, introducing themselves as the holy executioners sent to deliver divine punishment in the goddess's name. Vice stands protectively before the stone golem and the tiny dragon, trying to process this sudden religious crusade, before his anger boils over as he fiercely defends Demon Girl's loyal monster friends, prompting the lead executioner to narrow his eyes under his hood with cold amusement, as the cloaked squad draws their curved daggers in perfect chilling unison to end the debate. This lead executioner coldly orders his men to execute the intruders without showing any mercy. But Vice immediately rallies the summoned beasts to stand their ground and fight back, sending the fanatical executioners leaping through the air with their blades raised to kill. Suddenly, the stone golem unleashes a massive earth-shattering punch that sends one attacker flying, while the tiny dragon breathes a massive torrent of fire to roast the remaining assailants, forcing another cloaked warrior to swing his blade, unleashing a powerful crescent wave of energy. Vice leans back to dodge a glowing blue crescent slash, narrowly avoiding a lethal blow, but the cloaked assailant immediately presses the attack, lunging forward with his curved dagger, only for our boy to calmly watch the glowing blade slice right past his face. He barely even flinches as the razor-sharp steel grazes his hair, completely unfazed by the speed, forcing the frustrated executioner to swing down with another desperate heavy strike, which Vice easily evades by crouching low, analyzing his opponent's incredibly precise movements, while the cloaked warrior resets his stance, determined to find a lethal opening. Realizing this drag-out fight is is wasting precious time, Vice summons his crackling dragon-scaled gauntlet, leaving the fanatical assassin to stare in absolute horror at the sudden monstrous transformation, before leaping high into the air to deliver what he calls divine punishment. Vice smirks and unleashes a devastating counterpunch with his glowing blue-charged gauntlet, slamming his fist into the ground to release a massive shockwave of elemental energy, which blasts the lead assailant backward with enough force to shatter the surrounding stone. Dust clouds billow as the remaining cloaked executioners struggle to stand their ground, realizing they are completely outmatched and must immediately order a tactical retreat. Watching the cowards flee into the forest, Vice casually deactivates his powerful gauntlet before turning his attention to the single unconscious attacker left behind on the dirt. He walks over to inspect the fallen warrior, having already predicted their true identity, as pulling back the hood reveals a young woman knocked out cold from the blast. Meanwhile, the sun begins to set over the quiet chapel where their next meeting awaits. Inside the Grand Cathedral, the silver-haired knight presents Demon Girl and Marcia to the local church priest, who warmly offers his gratitude to the group for protecting the town from the rampaging beasts, though Marcia looks incredibly tense as she stands beside her horned companion on the red carpet, whispering to the Demon Girl about whether they should really start this meeting without Vice. Turning his attention to the horned heroine, the church priest asks if she truly commands monsters, prompting the proud girl to happily brag about her incredibly tight bond with her loyal pets. But the priest's warm expression instantly vanishes, his eyes narrowing with cold, fanatical disgust. Right as the heavy church doors suddenly burst open with a blinding flash of light, revealing a squad of cloaked executioners marching into the hall to corner their unsuspecting target, leaving the shocked demon girl surrounded by sharp blades as the ambush is finally sprung. Shocked by this sudden betrayal, the silver-haired knight demands to know what her father is doing. But the fanatical church priest coldly declares that the unclean demon girl must face immediate divine judgment, vowing that Vice will soon be joining her in the afterlife to pay for his sins. This blatant threat only serves to thoroughly infuriate our hot-headed heroine as she glares back. She tosses her glowing summoning crystals into the air to call upon some heavy-duty backup. Instantly, the massive white-furred ogre and the giant devil frog materialize right behind her, leaving the corrupt priest completely speechless as his carefully planned ambush suddenly falls apart, while the proud demon girl points a defiant finger, warning him never to underestimate them. Now, the giant monsters tower over the terrified executioners, completely turning the tables in the cathedral, forcing the trembling priest to stutter in absolute horror at his sacred hall being defiled. This massive white-furred ogre and the giant green frog glare down with absolute malice, prompting Demon Girl to point a commanding finger and order her pets to send them flying, as the towering beast prepare to crush the corrupt priest right where he stands. Terrified by the sudden shift in power, the priest and his trembling nuns quickly back away, before the desperate holy man screams at the top of his lungs for them to stay back. And suddenly, a massive wall of blinding golden light erupts to block the incoming assault, pushing the giant ogre and the massive frog back with overwhelming holy energy. This impenetrable golden dome completely seals off the altar, shielding the priest and his executioners, leaving the shocked demon girl to grit her teeth in frustration at this unexpected magical barrier, while the smug priest boasts that the goddess's divine protection will easily keep all heretics at bay. Furious at this betrayal, the silver-haired knight demands to know why the priest is targeting the girls, but the church priest coldly reminds her of her faith, ordering her to seize the witch immediately, declaring that the goddess will never tolerate any defiled heretic who commands monsters. This fanatical demand leaves the silver-haired knight completely stunned, her eyes wide with disbelief, while the demon girl sweats behind her massive beasts, desperately trying to plan their next move, suddenly suggesting to Marcia that they should just completely wreck this sacred hall to escape. Marcia immediately shuts down that chaotic idea, screaming that running away is their only logical option, forcing the reluctant horned heroine to quickly agree despite her urge to fight back. She points forward, commanding her giant white ogre and massive frog to go absolutely wild, unleashing a devastating punch from the white-furred beast that shatters the cathedral walls to cover their retreat. This giant white ogre delivers a devastating punch, completely shattering the cathedral's ancient stone walls, while the massive devil frog unleashes its whip-like tongue to smash whatever pillars are left standing, leaving the terrified church priest and his followers to scream in horror as their historic sanctuary crumbles, which only prompts the smug demon girl to laugh maniacally at her own overwhelming destructive power. Unfortunately, her victory lap is cut short as a massive stone block breaks loose from the ceiling, bonking our chaotic heroine directly on the head and knocking her out cold as Marcia screams, and within seconds, the entire holy cathedral collapses into a massive cloud of dust and rubble. From a distance, the ruined chapel stands completely silent under the warm glow of the setting sun, prompting Vice to stare in absolute disbelief after hearing about the chaotic escape from the holy temple. As the weary group stands in the forest looking down at their unconscious, face-planted summoner, Vice tries to thank the silver-haired knight for her help, but the atmosphere remains incredibly tense. as the conflicted knight looks away, apologizing because she simply cannot bring herself to talk right now. Before Marcia suddenly interrupts their awkward silence, screaming that they need to pack up and run immediately. She warns them that the fanatical Church of Homuluna will be sending their elite assassins after them next, explaining that this entire region worships a goddess who demands the absolute purge of all non-human life. Knowing their savior is now a target, Marcia points out how deeply troubled the knight must be, urging the group to quickly slip into the cover of dusk before the holy executioners catch up. Meanwhile, back at the ruined cathedral, the corrupt church priest addresses a crowd of concerned townspeople, telling them not to panic despite the tragic destruction of their sacred temple by the wicked heretics, before raising his voice to rally the crowd into a full-blown holy crusade against their group. This corrupt priest narrows his eyes, promising his followers that the goddess will surely smite all demons, as he stands before the ruined cathedral window, blaming wicked heretics for shattering their sacred sanctuary, painting Vice and the Demon Girl as literal agents of the Demon King sent to destroy them, before declaring that their beloved silver-haired knight has been seduced and turned into a traitorous apostate. He looks down at the crowd of angry townspeople, rallying them to take up arms immediately, screaming that peace is impossible until they wipe out every single heretic with their own hands, which instantly rouses the brainwashed mob as they raise their fists in a roaring frenzy. Meanwhile, the weary group quietly makes their escape through the forest, under the dimming sunset sky, with Vice carrying the unconscious demon girl while the silver-haired knight hauls their captured assailant, leaving Marcia to look back with a worried frown, wondering if they can truly survive this hunt. Carrying their unconscious captive, the silver-haired knight openly questions if dragging this girl along was a mistake. But Vice points out they couldn't just abandon her, urging everyone to focus on their escape, right as the unconscious demon girl finally begins to stir against his chest with a soft groan. She instantly snaps awake, blushing furiously as she realizes she is being carried bridal style and panics, while Marcia frantically drops a massive bombshell, revealing that their captured assailant is actually a literal princess. Vice completely ignores the royal drama, bluntly telling his squirming passenger to shut up and stay quiet, before the sudden, echoing sound of rapid hoofbeats cutting through the quiet forest halts them in their tracks, as a squad of heavily armored mounts thunders down the dirt path just a few yards away, forcing the fugitives to duck into the thick brush while a scout rides past their hiding spot, confirming that the church's elite knights are already out in full force hunting for them. Demon Girl frantically demands that the silver-haired knight simply order her subordinates to turn back, but the dejected knight immediately shuts down the idea, calling it completely impossible, explaining to the silent group that she has likely already been branded a heretic by the church. Since the fanatical Homuluna Church controls everything in these lands, defying them means absolute execution, leaving the fallen protector to bitterly admit that her social standing is officially dead. This tragic realization hits hard, making the guilty demon girl wonder if they ruined her life, only for her existential dread to be violently interrupted as a deadly projectile whistles right past her face, slamming a sharp arrow into the dirt and sending both her and Marcia screaming in terror. Nearby, the mounted search party hears the noise and immediately begins closing in on their hiding spot, prompting the terrified demon girl to shake Vice and beg him to beat them up as usual. Vice refuses to fight back, pointing out that hurting brainwashed civilians will only make them actual criminals. But the demon girl nervously reminds him that playing nice won't help them escape this angry mob, before her eyes suddenly light up with a chaotic, brilliant idea to simply outrun their pursuers. She smugly explains that they can easily escape if they just use their maximum speed, leaving Vice completely bewildered, prompting our horned heroine to activate a bright red magic circle to summon her legendary Unicorn-chan, which immediately engulfs the shocked hero in a blinding surge of raw, merging elemental energy. Meanwhile, the church's elite knights search the dark bushes, demanding their targets come out and surrender, only for a massive pillar of crimson light to violently erupt right in front of them, revealing a towering, dark, demonic unicorn with glowing red eyes that completely dwarfs the terrified soldiers, sending the brainwashed knights screaming into the night as they realize they are completely outmatched. Leaping forward with incredible power, the dark demonic beast easily leaves the stunned pursuers in the dust, while the chaotic demon girl laughs maniacally, urging Vice to run even faster without holding anything back, leaving the bewildered church knights to watch them vanish, completely terrified by the overwhelming speed of their target, as the transformed beast tears down the forest path, kicking up a massive cloud of dust behind them. Meanwhile, a mysterious demonic presence watches the unfolding chaos from high above under the three crescent moons, her glowing golden eyes narrowing with a cold, calculating gaze as she observes the escape, whispering the hero's name with a sinister grin, eager to see him dance to her tune. Back at the ruined cathedral, a defeated knight kneels to report their complete failure to the priest. This news absolutely infuriates the fanatical church priest, his face twisting with pure, unbridled rage, screaming at his men to spread wanted posters and hunt down the heretics by any means necessary. Kneeling before his furious superior, the loyal knight quickly salutes and vows to carry out his orders, while the fanatical church priest stares up at the sacred stained glass, demanding they capture the heretics immediately. declaring that their holy goddess is watching everything and will not tolerate any demonic corruption. Meanwhile, a mysterious divine presence manifests within a glowing blue sphere high above the clouds, as a delicate sparrow lands on her finger while she mutters about purging all hideous beasts, revealing the beautiful but utterly ruthless goddess herself who vows to erase every single accursed creature, smiling coldly as she plans to build a perfect world meant solely for her own glory. Back on the ground, the transformed Vice tears through the plains at a terrifying, uncontrollable speed, leaving the panicked demon girl and Marcia screaming in terror as they realize they cannot slow down, while the demonic beast grits its teeth and charges forward with completely unhinged wild energy. Demon Girl grits her teeth in panic, realizing that Vice has completely lost control of his beastly form, looking down at the rampaging hero while complaining about what an absolute hassle he is to manage, before she takes a deep, exasperated breath to prepare herself for the chaotic ride ahead, screaming at him to protect her properly instead of constantly losing his mind during their escapes. Suddenly, the Dark Unicorn's massive crimson eye flashes with a wild, unhinged intensity, as the beast violently slams its heavy hoof down, shattering the ground and kicking up debris, sending both Demon Girl and Marcia flying off its back with a terrified scream. Picking herself up from the dirt, our horned heroine looks around in shock as the dust settles, only to find Vice sitting on the ground in his human form, completely exhausted from the transformation, prompting the worried Demon Girl to ask if he is all right after losing control once more. Vice sighs in frustration, deeply disappointed in himself for losing control of his power once again, while the demon girl watches him with a surprisingly soft and sympathetic look on her face, right before her loyal golem rolls up with a massive wooden wagon to save the day, prompting the group to quickly plan their escape route straight out of the fanatical church's territory. However, the silver-haired knight suddenly looks away, quietly announcing that she must leave their group immediately, explaining that traveling with a disgraced, heretical knight will only bring more danger to their lives, as she bitterly insists that she can no longer walk the same path as them. But the fiery demon girl immediately grabs her, completely refusing to hear any of her self-pitying excuses, flashing a confident grin as she bluntly orders the stubborn knight to shut up and climb aboard, leaving the silver-haired knight completely stunned as she cradles the sleeping captain in her arms. This silver-haired knight repeats the word with a stunned look, touched by the unexpected gesture, but their emotional moment is instantly cut short as Vice senses a sudden disturbance nearby, warning the group that something dangerous is rapidly approaching their position through the dark woods. Fearing the church's elite assassins have found them, the group prepares to make a run for it, as the golem accelerates, sending the heavy wooden wagon wheels spinning wildly into a blur. Suddenly, a massive dark beast leaps out of the shadows, running right alongside their speeding vehicle, catching Vice completely off guard, while the terrified demon girl cowers right behind his shoulder, revealing the giant, clawed paw of a ferocious black wolf tearing through the dirt. This glowing-eyed beast charges forward with incredible speed, easily keeping pace with their escape, leaving the loyal golem to race alongside their new lupine companion as they flee into the night. Demon Girl frantically screams at her golem to speed up as the massive predator closes in, while Vice realizes their rocky driver is already at his absolute limit and considers transforming again, deciding to manually draw out the unicorn's power instead of risking another mindless rampage, only for him to stand there in awkward silence as absolutely nothing happens, leaving him staring at his normal hands in pure frustration as his possession trick completely fails. Marcia calmly points out that his proficiency with this stolen power is still way too low, which instantly sends the demon girl into a quiet panic about her own future job security, until the silver-haired knight snaps at them to stop chatting and focus on surviving, right as the terrifying black wolf lunges from the darkness with its jaws wide open, unleashing a devastating blast of purple energy that threatens to blow their entire wagon to pieces. Out of the swirling purple shadows, a terrifyingly familiar silhouette begins to take shape, revealing the stunning yet absolutely lethal Demon Lord Titenda stepping back onto the battlefield, which instantly sends Vice and the Demon Girl into a state of pure, unadulterated panic, while the silver-haired knight stares in absolute disbelief at the legendary threat before them, as Titenda narrows her glowing purple eyes, ready to unleash absolute devastation on the group, effortlessly conjuring several massive magic circles in the air to completely seal their escape, before unleashing a barrage of devastating energy blasts that threaten to vaporize the entire forest, only for a blinding blue shield of water energy to erupt and intercept the deadly onslaught, leaving Vice kneeling in the rising smoke, his sea serpent gauntlet glowing as he blocks the hit, with his stunned companions watching in awe, praying he can hold the line against this monster. Tatenda looks on with mild amusement, genuinely impressed that a mere human managed to block her attack, prompting a furious Vice to bare his teeth, warning her to stay away from his friends. But the Demon Lord simply scoffs at his words, questioning how monsters and humans can be allies. Vice doesn't hesitate for a single second, firmly declaring that he will protect everyone behind him, leaving Tatenda to stare at him with those glowing eyes, finding him incredibly puzzling. Standing tall amidst her swirling dark aura, she radiates an overwhelming pressure that suffocates the forest, delivering a chilling ultimatum to either join her side or face absolute destruction, before a sudden, violent burst of purple energy erupts and completely consumes the clearing, only for the smoke to clear, revealing that the terrifying demon lord has completely vanished. This brief encounter leaves the annoyed demon girl sweating, comparing the tyrant to her toxic boss back home. Riding away in their wagon, the group realizes they must now avoid both the goddess and the demon lord, prompting the silver-haired knight to ask Marcia if she knows a safe haven for them to hide, and the cheerful merchant proudly boasts about an independent town located far to the west, deciding that this neutral territory is their best bet to escape the chaos for now. But with night falling quickly, they pull over to set up camp inside a secluded cave. Inside the wagon, Demon Girl watches their bound captive, wondering how an assassin can sleep so soundly, while Marcia joins Vice by the newly lit campfire to check on his quiet mood, noticing that the tense hero is staring into the darkness with deep concern on his face, as they both look toward the pitch-black cavern, wondering what dangers might be lurking deep inside.